Hey y'all, today we're going to do easy stuffed shells. It's kind of a twist on lasagna. So I've already made my spaghetti sauce or marinara sauce. I added meat to mine. So in the original recipe, she doesn't have meat in her sauce. So I went ahead and cooked my meat. It's been drained. We've already added the sauce to it and it's setting aside. And we've already boiled our shells. Let me show you what they look like. They're kind of large. Okay. So we've already done all that. They're already cooked. And now we're going to make this stuff that kind of goes inside of them. So preheat your oven to 350. You may hear it make a noise here in a second when it's preheated. Spray your 9x13 dish. It's my 9x13 dish. It's all sprayed already. Set everything aside and go ahead and get your cottage cheese mixture together. So the first thing I need to do is grab my measuring spoons because I don't have them. Okay. I couldn't find what they call whipped cottage cheese, and in my lasagna I just put regular cottage cheese in there. So, and I also could not find a 30-ounce container of cottage cheese, and instead of buying a large one and a small one, I just got two big ones and basically used 1 3/4 of another container. So we're going to dump all that in there. I'm not going to whip it or anything like that. We'll just put it in there like that. It'll be fine because I've used it before. In my lasagna, I don't use ricotta. So we got our 30 ounces of cottage cheese in the bowl, which seems like too much if you ask me, but whatever. You need Parmesan cheese. That's going to be 6 ounces. The container's 5. So I'm just going to go ahead and just put the 5 in there. It should be fine. Then we need 1 egg. I got that over here. Let's mix all that up. The next thing we need to do is put our garlic in, and we needed, let's see, a couple of tablespoons of that. I've already got some minced garlic here. So it's going to be about 3 heaping teaspoons. And 3. Because I read a thing the other day that said if it tells you to put in 1, just put 2. If it tells you 2, then put 3 of the garlic. Because it's just not going to change much of the flavor if you don't, I guess. So I put a little bit more than I typically would. And let's see, the next thing will be our parsley. And we need, it says a tablespoon of fresh. And I do not keep fresh, I keep dry. So since it said a tablespoon, we're going to just do a teaspoon. So let me wipe this off. We can use this. Since this is dry, you don't typically use the same amount that you would if it was fresh. You just don't. And then 3/4 of a cup of fresh bay leaves finely chopped. Okay, we're not going to do 3/4 of a cup fresh because I have dry. So let's see. I think that's enough. A few tablespoons would probably be good enough. So you stir all that together. And you combine it. Okay, so I keep having camera problems. So I'm going to try to take back off again with this recipe. 30 ounces of cottage cheese. The recipe says whipped. I couldn't find whipped. I didn't do anything to it. We've used cottage cheese before, so we just put the regular cottage cheese in, 30 ounces. You're probably going to have to get like 2 of the big containers and then use 1 whole container and then like 3/4 of another container to get the 30 ounces. Then you need to add 6 ounces of Parm cheese. I had this little thing, and it was only 5 ounces, but that's fine. That's fine. It's missing an ounce. It'll be fine. So pour that whole thing in there. I added, it says 1 to 2 garlic cloves. I added about 3 heaping teaspoons. And it calls for fresh parsley and fresh basil. I had dried on both. I do not keep that on hand. I keep dry because I don't hardly ever use it, so there's no sense in getting fresh all the time. And what you do is, when you have the recipe that calls for fresh, but all you have is dry, you need to scale back the measurements. Because if you put 3/4 cup of basil in here and it's dry, that's a lot of basil. So you really didn't need that much. I put in like probably 1/3 of a cup of the basil, and then as far as parsley goes, just a couple of heaping teaspoons, like just 2 heaping teaspoons, not even heaping teaspoons, just 2 teaspoons, and it called for a tablespoon. Let's see, it calls for not a half, is it a half? Yeah, half teaspoon of salt. So I'm gonna put half teaspoon of kosher in, and some pepper. I'm just gonna sprinkle it in. It called for fresh ground, half a teaspoon. I don't have fresh ground, just regular old pepper will do. It's fine. So you need to mix all that together. All right. Now, what you need to do, let me make sure that's what you need to do is, before you start putting the shells in here, because this is your filling, so you don't put that in there yet. You take a little bit of, just like whenever you make homemade lasagna. Just put a little bit of sauce, and I did do a little bit extra sauce because it seems like anytime I make anything like this, I run out of sauce. So I put in just a little bit in the bottom. All right, now you take your shells. And you take the mixture. 1 tablespoon is enough, see? And then you set it down in here. And you do that with all the shells, and it's a 12-ounce box. It's about a tablespoon's worth of filling. Spoon it in. Put it in there. Okay, so I didn't have enough space in this one dish. I had to use another one. So that's fine. You take the rest of, after you've stuffed all the shells, you take the rest of your sauce and you put it on top of everything. Just like you would a lasagna. And it doesn't have to be gorgeous. So, go ahead and get that other pan done. This is my daughter's favorite meal. She loves Italian, so that's probably why. And it's very close to lasagna. Alright, so get the rest of this out, or everything. To me, this is actually easier than lasagna. In a way. Only thing is you have to do each individual noodle. Okay. And the only thing that's left to do is take 8 ounces of grated mozzarella cheese and sprinkle on top. And that's it. I'll let you see it as soon as it comes out of the oven. Okay, everybody, here is the finished product. You take it out when it's bubbly and the cheese is melted.